Hello, everybody. I want to talk a little bit about horses that are into the pressure, meaning they're pushing back into our leg aids, our seat aids, and sometimes also our rein aids. And into pressure is a expression that describes any horse to respond to pressure, and it will respond with pressing against that pressure and not yielding to it. That's where that term comes from. And Spidey here is a really interesting case because he's by nature a very forward horse, has beautiful gaits and loves to move, but he has learned over the course of his fairly short life, he's only 6, that sometimes when people come after him with their legs and perhaps a little bit too loud and there's, too much of a clonking or too much of a nagging, that he will just push back into that, which is a natural response, of course. But also over time, it's a protection. The horse gets stressed out by a constantly nagging lower leg or by, harsh spurs or, as I mentioned before, the clonking, which is still unfortunately part of so many different types of training and teaching methodologies. The clonking meaning, and I'm going to stop here for a moment, I'm just going to show you what I mean by that, is when people say, just give him a really good 5-pound on each side, and they take their legs off and they clonk on the horse like that. And the response in most horses is they're shutting down. They're like, the whole muscle system, all of their nerve endings are going into like, oh my God, what just happened, And then horses very quickly go from there into fight, flight, or freeze mode. And that means that they're in survival mode and their brain momentarily can't process anything that has to do with learning or changing a behavior or listening to a cue of any kind of sort, right? And so the horse's brain will be, at some point, if you keep going like that, saturated with stress hormones. And then, of course, sooner or later, bigger, better, and quote-unquote better, worse scenarios will unfold, and the horse will be feeling that they have to protect themselves, And so the internal shutting down comes then at a price, and the horse will learn to basically push against just a regular, normal, friendly leg contact and say basically, I'm not doing this unless I really have to. And to me, that is one of the saddest sort of states of being and existing for a horse or for any kind of attempt at having a collaboration going on with your horse. And so pretty much with that, you have to almost start over and counter the expectation of the horse. So, when I first get on Spidey, now he's starting to get better, but when we first started and I put my leg on, the response was not to go forward, but to kind of stop or slow down, right? So my response to that was to say, hey, I'm going to take my legs off. I'm not going to come after you. And I could literally feel how he was surprised by that. And he did not go straight into either habituated behavior of protecting and pushing back, but he would just, for a moment, just wait and see what happened. And with that is the opening, not just to the mind of the horse, but also to the body, because the body, the nerve endings are starting to be curious, quote unquote, again, right? They're going to say, oh, and here we go. This is also part of it. Having to go. No big deal. That's a good reason for stopping. But, what I'm saying is that the nerve endings have to become open and curious and receptive again before we can start, even in the mildest sense, doing any kind of riding or collaboration in terms of riding more forward or more engagement from behind. All those things come later. And so first things that I say to everybody who is used to using bigger spurs and more clonking and more, usually what comes up in conjunction with all of that for the rider is pulling up the heels, whether they know it or not. And it's all this attempt that, we have as humans to succeed and make the horse go forward, as we hear so much, But forward has to be a friendly forward. It has to be a joyful, hopefully eventually a jubilant effort of, both the rider and the horse, not just, this marathon and we have to get through it somehow. Anyway, you can tell I am feeling strongly about these things. What I want to show you here are just a couple of things that you can do to help your horse just to come from, going regular. Right now I'm going from a longer rein into medium walk. I'm just going to ride a large, sort of nondescript oval shape here, not even a real square. Horses that don't like to go forward and they push back into the pressure that they're receiving usually are doing better on large curved shapes and lines that you're riding than on, angular, short turns and cuts and corners and small circles. That will slow them down. So first rule is when the horse pushes back against the pressure, legs off. Then let your legs drop down, friendly lower leg impulse. And then the second part is large straight lines and curves that you can ride, right? And then, again, the horse anticipates when you ride a straight line and you put both legs on. Most horses that have been conditioned to protect themselves will, have a tendency to stop like a donkey almost. Those donkeys that stop and don't want to go forward, and somebody pulls on the front end, and they are just like pushing back, sitting back. And that is because they have, and usually they succeed because they have, the upper hand, because to pull a four-legged structure straight forward is much harder than pulling them sideways, right? So when you invite a horse that's learned to protect themselves against harsh legs, I'm going to say this over and over, invite them to go onto a circular shape, right? So what I'm going to do here with Spidey, I'm going to take the inside rein, bend him a little bit around my inside leg, and then ask very gently, a little bit of clucking, and just a few steps of sitting trot and right back to walk, right? And then I'm going to change directions. And I'm going to say the same thing to him. I'm going to hold a little bit of the contact of the inside rein. Inside leg is by the girth. Outside leg is back and supportive. And then I'm going to cup him with both legs. Both legs stay long. No heel comes into play here. I'm just going to cup him using the inside almost of my stirrup bars. And just going to say, hey, come. A few steps of sitting trot. There you go. And that's all I want. And as you notice, the horse becomes more open again. He's saying, oh, I see, you don't want me to run. You just want me to take a few steps. I can do that, and I can stay relaxed. And that is part of that reconditioning of the expectations. I'm just going to do it here a few more times so that you can see it. Of, the horse saying, oh, no, I don't want to go because it's going to get really exhausting and harsh and hard. And I don't even care where the head is right now. All I want is easy, little bit of a vibrational energy of my inside and outside leg and riding him on these small circles. And these small circles are just a tactic to break the straight four-legged structure into something that's a little bit easier to push off into, let's say a trot. Perhaps we're going into a posting trot from here. And again, in the posting trot, I'm going to ride very nice, large, big, curved lines. Maybe I'll put myself onto like a little bit of a figure of 8 here, just to mix it up so that, we're not going to start to think that it's hard and it's round and round after round of things. That is what frustrates horses. It makes them feel like they can't really win. When you just go like, oh yeah, we're going to go for the next 10 minutes into this strutting, staccato-like forward trot. If he stops a little bit like he did just now and slowed down a little bit, I'm just going to say to him, oh, no big deal. You can do that. We just stay in a friendly posting trot for a moment. Maybe I will go into a 2-point here. There we go. Good boy. So, 2-pointing is always a taking away of the weight from the horse's back, making it a little bit nicer for them to bring up their back. And then I'm just going to go sit, walk, and long rein. Right? And that is the beginning of a horse that feels not pressured and pushed and, sort of manhandled into this ever, lasting forward, which is really, really not something that we can create in that sense that we're putting more pressure on anyway. It'll always backfire on us. especially if we're amateur riders and not professional athletes. We don't want to ride with that strong of a seat all the time to make the horse go and do everything that we want them to do. We want to feel our way into the horse's mental and physical form of the day. We want to say, hey, this is an invitation, how about this? Right? And the horse will say, let me think about it. And then you say, yeah, but I would like it right now. And the horse will say, okay, if it's not too long and not too harsh, then I'll do it for a little bit, right? And then before you know it, you take the edge off and you take that feeling of dread off and away from the horse, you know? And then you're going to start it again. And you maybe just go into, again, seeing if he's open to moving off my leg a little bit on a larger curved line. Yes, he is. Very happy about that. And then I'm just going to go back onto my big, nice, oval or circular shape here in this case. And then I might just go and say, how about a little bit of sitting trot every few strides, right? And again, that is just a variation on my requirement or request or inquiry, better said. We always have to think, there he slowed down a little bit, no big deal. It's a quest, not a conquest, to ride a horse well and with feeling, right? And so sitting trot, I can feel the tension underneath me. So I'm not going to do it very long, right? I'm just going to go, maybe I'll take, 5 steps or just any kind of uneven number, just get back onto my correct diagonal, which is kind of hard to do while I'm talking here. But you see, easy going, back and forth, little sitting trot, little bit of posting trot, and I'll change directions again, as he's going forward so nicely right now. And again, I don't care right now if he is in a super long, stretchy frame or if he's in a good working frame. I would like him to be put together a little bit, but not to a point where that becomes, the main focus point in a horse that's not wanting to go forward by him or herself. Whether the pole is the highest point of the horse or not all the time. You can't make those requests yet. And so I'm going to give him a little bit of a break again. Oh, good boy. So, very important. Breaks, legs off, long rein, petting, breathing, talking, staying positive. Watch your inner voice. Who is talking to you while you're riding? If you have an instructor, that's one thing, and hopefully you're on the same wavelengths with everything. If not, it may be time to have a conversation or look around for other options if you can't be in sync on what it is that you want to do together with your horse. But also, more importantly, almost I want to say for most people when they ride by themselves, is this inner driver that keeps saying, go, 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 make the horse go forward. He has to go forward or he's not going correctly. Well, the truth is, when you give your horse and yourself the chance, you will notice that the true force forward comes with the building of strength and balance in each horse. It takes a little bit more different time for each horse, but when the horse becomes stronger, when the horse becomes more balanced, when the horse stays relaxed for longer periods of time while you're riding, you will be able to harness that energy that the horse can give you, and it almost develops automatically. You will feel that, after maybe some weeks and weeks of doing these fairly simple but very effective exercises, and you're building yourself and your horse up with this new type of understanding, that suddenly the horse will go forward because there's a strength there and the balance and the desire. And that is where it all starts. The horse has to want to go and want to, be happy and free and, in the best way, the collaborative partner that we're all looking for, right? We're looking for it, but the horse looks for a partner too. So why not be the best we can for them, Right? End of rant. Thank you for listening and watching, and happy riding. Good boy.